Welcome students for online classes. So today we'll continue with the chapter 2, that is collection of data. In the earlier session we had studied about one source of data and the data collection, that was about the secondary data. So today we'll study about the other sources of data, that is the primary data and the pilot survey. So what does primary data mean? The data originally collected by the investigator for the first time is called as primary data. So as the data is being collected for the first time, we call it as first hand information. So when I compare primary data with the secondary data, what did we study under secondary data? Secondary data is the data which is been collected by others and the third person will collect the data for his betterment. So under primary data, what is made? The first hand collection of data. Maybe for example, I go to any particular person and ask about his company and his products. So this is known as first hand data. So what about secondary data? The secondary data is kind of a data which is been collected by someone others and the third party is been using it. So primary data, so who is an investigator? Investigator is a person who inquires or conducts the statistical inquiry. So there are methods of primary data. First is direct personal interview method. Second is mailed questionnaire. Third is telephone interview. So let's study everything in detail. First, what is direct personal interview method? The meaning is data is collected by the investigator personally from persons who are subject to inquiry is called personal interview method. For example, I go to a particular person, I need to know about his family status or what kind of products is he is been producing. So I will go to a company, I will inquire him about the demand for the product, what kind of product is been producing, what do you use for to produce all these products. So this is known as direct personal interview method, where you go personally, you ask the questions about your project and you do all the necessary interview face to face. This is known as direct interview method. So by this what happens, it will be easier for the person or the investigator to investigate about any kind of information face to face. By this you will be knowing his expression, whether is he telling the truth or to what extent is he telling any wrong things or wrong information for me. All these things can be understood. So the merits of personal interview are: there will be a face-to-face contact with the respondents as told earlier, which will be very much easier for the investigator to investigate anything about any kind of information. And second one is about data collected will be accurate. So why the data collection will be accurate? Because you go to that particular person personally and ask all the necessary items. So accuracy of the questions you've been asked to him will be of correct or efficient. And lastly, the response rate is high. So I can expect, so when you go to a face to face conversation, what happens, you can expect any kind of answer from the respondent. So what happens, the response rate is high, you can, that particular person can respond to you for any particular extent. So this personal or direct interview is very much efficient when you come to the, when you come or when you do any kind of information process. So the demerits of personal interview are: it is expensive methods and consumes more time. Why is it expensive? You need to go to that particular company personally and it consumes more time. That particular person should also be free to tell you all the necessary things of his company. So what happens, it is more expensive, you need to travel from your place to company, so that even he should be free to answer you all your questions. So it is very much expensive and it even consumes more and more time. Next is about personal bias can give wrong results. What happens, if I am the investigator, I will be having my own company. My own company in the sense, maybe my friend's company or maybe my relative's company. So at this particular point of time, if there are any negative questions, questions in the sense, For example, they might be doing any kind of illegal business in the sense without the knowledge of the government, some things which is been going wrong. So at this particular point of time, I will be inquiring him some of the questions which he might tell wrong, or in spite of me knowing about his illegal business, I might write wrong things in my particular project. So this will give the biased answers, which will even lead to the wrong results. And lastly, about suitable only where the area of the study is limited. For example, I will take anything in consideration. For example, the coffee plantation, which is I will do only for my area, Kurg. So when I go to any other place, maybe the North Karnataka, where the coffee is been not planted, at this particular point of time, what happens, my project or my thing of doing a project will be of a negative thing, which is one of the demerit under personal interview. So what will my project be about the whole Karnataka. So at this particular point of time, I need to take my information from the whole Karnataka. I cannot take only from Kurg. So I need to even go for north and even other places where coffee is not been planted. In spite of that, I need to ask them necessary questions, which is one of the wasteful time for me. So this is also one of the demerit of personal interview. So the next thing is about the mailed questionnaire. It can also be said as the mailing questionnaire. So what is it? Questionnaire can be mailed out to a sample of a population, enabling researchers to connect with wide range of people. Now what happens under this mailed questionnaire? Now what is this questionnaire? The word questionnaire means the list of questions which contains the list which contains number of questions where, for example, maybe the demographic, maybe for example, what is your name, what is your age, how much do you earn, maybe your income, what kind of products do you produce, all these questions will be included. So what do you do in this mailed questionnaire? You will mail, as because of the technology, because of the internet process, what do? You mail the questionnaire to the other person so that he or she can fill that questionnaire and send it to you back, so that by sitting in your home you can do all the necessary work. So how do you prepare the questionnaire? What the questionnaire should be like? What kind of questions is it necessary for you to ask? What kind of questionnaire is it not necessary for you to ask? Whether this particular questionnaire is good for that particular project, all these things. So first thing, questionnaire should not be too long. What happens, you need to it is necessary for the questionnaire should be precise and clear and small, so it will be easier or it will be helpful for the respondent to response with, for example, I will ask what is your name. In spite of that, you can even write name and put a colon so that the other person can fill that particular space. So this what happens, and this is not only applied to what is your name, it can be applied to many other questions which I will explain further. So at this particular point of time, what happens, the number of questions should be minimum. So what happens, you cannot write 50 to 60 questions of your project and you can send it to others. In spite of that, you can even merge the questions, you can reduce the questions which is only limited for your project. And lastly, what happens when there will be too many questions, it will be even boring for the respondent to respond all the questions. So it is necessary or it will be easier for the respondents if there are only limited in a sense, maybe like 15 to 17 questions, which will be easier for the people to answer. Next is about the series of questions should move from general to specific. For example, from common to complex. For example, my project will be about the coffee plantation. So at this particular point of time, I directly cannot go for the first question. So how much do you earn, or maybe what kind of chemicals do you use for your products? In spite of that, first should be like, where is your particular place situated, whether is it inside the core, whether is it outside any kind of places. And with the slow age of time, what happens, you need to increase your questions, first asking that particular person's name, and later which kind of product do you use. Under coffee plantation there are n number of coffees, so you can ask whether is it robusta or whether is it any other thing. So slowly you increase your pace, so in the end you can ask him for any suggestion to give you for any kind of project for, or any kind of suggestion which he might be, it will be helpful for you for your project process. So the next one is about the question should be precise and clear. As told earlier, what happened, the question should not be too long. The too lengthy questions will be very difficult for the person to understand. For example, here there are two questions. What percentage of your income do you spend on clothing in order to look presentable? In spite of this, you can even ask what percentage of your income do you spend on clothing, which will be even more simpler or easier for the person to understand. So what the question should be, it should be precise and clear. And the next one is about the question should not be ambiguous. What does ambiguous mean? It should not be a questionable, or it should not make the other person to think twice or thrice whether the question is correct or wrong. So what happens, it even enables the respondents to answer quickly, correctly and clearly if you give a precise question. For example, do you spend a lot on do you spend a lot of money on your books in a month? In spite of that, you can even ask how much do you spend on a book in a month? For example, less than 200, between 200 to 300, between 300 to 400, or more than 400, which will be easier for the person to understand or for the person to give you a proper answer, in the end result, which will be easier for you to analyze. For example, I will give you example, there will be 10 respondents, so some will write 20 rupees, some will be writing 1000 rupees, some will be writing 2000 rupees. So at this particular point of time, it will be very difficult for you to make any kind of conclusion to give a proper result for the question. So by giving this particular question, how much do you spend on books in a month, if you give these kinds of options, it will be easier for you to analyze, it will be easier for you to interpret. So the question should not be ambiguous. And the next one is about the question should not use double negatives. Double negative in the sense wouldn't you, don't you, all these things. So if these questions will be asked, what happens, what will be the response? It for example, don't you think smoking should be prohibited? In spite of that, the majorly the person will tell yes. So in spite of that, you can tell, do you think smoking should be prohibited? He can either tell yes or no based on his options. So they should not be double question negatives, which will be even easier, or it will be even more difficult for the person to respond. The next one is about the question should not be a leading question. Leading question in the sense giving the answer for the question itself. So for example, here in the question, how do you see? How do you like the flavor of this high quality tea? In the question itself, you have told it is high quality tea. So the people might think because of its good quality, the tea must be good. In spite of asking like that, you can even ask, how do you like the flavor of this tea? By this, you will get to know whether it is good, bad, or worst. So these kind of things, which there should be no clue given in the questions, which will be easier for the respondent, which will be a difficult thing for the project holder. So the next thing is about the question should not indicate alternatives to the answer. Alternatives in the sense this or that. For example, would you like to do a job after college or be a housewife? So here there is only two options. So you can either go to college or be a housewife. So you can write only one question. So what kind of question can you ask? Would you like to do a job if possible? So here what can the particular person tell? I would like to do a job, yes or no. Whether you want to do a job, yes. If not, you want to continue your studies, you can even write that. You can even be, if you want to get married, you can even write that. There will be options for you to give the proper response. So the questions should not indicate the alternative. So only if in this the earlier question, what happens, you would like to do a job after your college or be a housewife. Here there are only two options. Even I want to do my higher studies, so at this particular point of time, what will I opt? So there should not be a confusion or any kind of dilemma in any kind of the questions. So the next and the last questionnaire, which is very much important, the questionnaire may consist of open-ended and close-ended questions. All these questionnaires which we have seen should be of open-ended and close-ended. Now what are these open-ended and close-ended? Open-ended questions means those kind of questions which are asked normally in the sense, for example, without the usage of yes or no. For example, were you born in the year 2000, when were you born, sorry, when were you born, you can opt any of the option. So you can even ask what kind of product do you use, and you will give the clothes brands, maybe Puma, maybe Nike, maybe Max, and any kind of brand. So this is known as open-ended questions, where there will be options, there will be many options. So when I come to the close-ended options or the structured questions, it is also known as structured questions, there are only two possible things to answer, whether it is yes or no. This is known as two-way question. So what will be the example for this open-ended question? Were you born in 2010? You can either tell yes or no. You cannot give any justification, or there will be no other options. So if you have born in the year 2010, you can either tell yes. If you have not born in the year 2010, you can tell no. So this is about questionnaires, where which is very much important for a project holder to do all these necessary things, so that you receive the end result which will be of a good thing. So the merits of mailed questionnaire are: wide areas can be covered. How wide areas? You can mail your question paper, maybe with the help of WhatsApp, maybe with the help of any mailing IDs. So which will be covered majorly area, maybe not only from your particular area, you can even send it to any person. So it is less expensive, because only less limited or less percentage of the internet process is being used. And next is about can obtain original data. What happens under mailed questionnaire? It can even obtain original data which you can send it to others for their reference and do the questionnaire properly. And lastly, personal bias can be avoided. Why? Because I will be sending to n number of people whom I will not be knowing. So it will be easier for them to respond, because they will be not knowing me, and it will be even easier for me to know the end result or their opinion about any kind of topic. So the demerits of mail questionnaire are delay in getting response. It is not necessary that everybody will respond to whatever you have told or whatever questions you have asked for. So there might be delay in getting response, or sometimes it is not necessary that they will respond. Okay, loss in the questionnaire or incomplete response. So even when I send the mail to any particular person, he might lose that questionnaire from any point of time, and even he might send half and half a response for that particular questionnaire. So it is very much difficult for you to do the mailed questionnaire when you compare to the personal interview. Okay, lastly, it cannot be used by illiterates. What happens? You can use only when you know to read and write. So for the people who are illiterates, it will be very difficult for them to read or write to give proper response. So because of this, what happens? The direct interview is being told as one of the most effective tool under the personal interview. So the third interview is about telephone interview. So what happens under telephone interview? The interview which is being done through the telephone is called as telephone interview, where all the questions, where all the answers is being asked with the help of telephones, and it is a method where the interview will ask all the necessary questions with the help of landline or mobile or various research services, even with the help of newspaper, televisions, banks, etc. Usage of the telephones, when you come to the what happens, research of newspapers, television channels, banks, all these things, telephone is one of the biggest media where all the necessary things is being done under the telephone. For example, when I come to banks, what happens? If anybody needs any kind of loans or any credit facility do you need, all the people will call you and ask you. So this is a kind of telephone interview where they are exploring about their products to the whole world. So the merits of telephone interview are: it is cheaper. Nowadays there are n number of facilities for the people. There is unlimited data, there is unlimited calls, so it is been even more cheaper for the people to do all these telephone interviews. So next is conducted with a shorter period of time. It is not necessary that you need to go to that particular place, you need to come back at this particular point of time. You can call many person and ask about their information, ask about their opinion, everything. And faster than other methods in the sense, you call a particular person, you talk to them, you keep. So it is faster when you compare to mailing questionnaire and telephone interview, sorry, not telephone, direct interview. Lastly, more flexible than mailing. What happens when doing the mailing thing, what happens, you need to mail a person, you need to wait for the response. But under telephone interview, you will get the answers or results within time, within a small period of time. So it is very much flexible. Next, lastly, the demerits of telephone interview is information cannot be obtained from people who do not have telephones. Maybe for the interior places or the remote areas or the village areas where the people are not having telephones, it will be very difficult for your project to get a success. So it is one of the demerit. And lastly, it is less effective in the sense, you will be not knowing that person's expression, he might tell something just because he want to get rid of you. So all these things might also include. So one of the major thing everybody tells, that direct, even in spite of time consuming and even in spite you have it will be a costly thing. What happens, this particular direct interview is one of the most effective thing under the primary data. So the last thing is about last source or last mode of data is about pilot survey. Now what is this pilot survey? It is presenting the questionnaire with a small group of respondents is known as pilot survey. What happens, I will give you example. There will be a survey or there will be a collection of data for a large portion. So you might think whether will it be a success, will it be a failure. To do this thing, will the respondents, will they be knowing all these questionnaire, is it difficult for them to read, or whether the question is being very modern, or whether is it very traditional. To know all the necessary things, you do pilot survey. Pilot survey is the pre-testing things which is done before doing any kind of big survey, which will be a major one. Pilot survey helps in giving the definite answers so that you can apply the survey to the larger number of person. Pilot survey is done first for the small portion. Why is it made? It is made so that the large number of so that you can make possible, or you can know that how the large portion of the people will think. So by doing pilot survey, it will be helpful, or it will be a easier thing when you do the survey for the large number of people. So because of this pre-testing process, so for example, when you go to any ice cream industry or any ice cream factory, what happens, there will be a pre-testing whether the ice cream is good or whether anything should be added. So in the same way, what happens, the pre-testing is also made under this particular data, when data is being collected. So the merits of pilot survey are: helps to know the drawbacks of the questionnaire, whether is there any difficulty in questionnaire, whether there are any non-negative questions included. All these things can be understood with the help of pilot survey. Next is helps in assessing the cost and time involved in the survey. Say for example, when I take whole Madikeri into consideration, I want to do the survey for the whole Madikeri. So at this particular point of time, what will I do? I will go under pilot survey, I will go to a small area and I will distribute my questionnaire, and I will think for one area this much time is involved, this much cost is involved. So when I take into consideration the whole Madikeri, how much time and cost might be included. This will help in making the questionnaires, it will help in making all the necessary things. It even helps in assessing the suitability of questions. Suitability of questions in the sense whether the questions is good, whether there is negative question, whether there is bad questions included in my questionnaire. All these things can be assessed. And lastly, resultant in improving the questionnaire. the people might suggest you that this question is not proper for this particular area, so that you can change the questionnaire. So pilot survey helps in doing the questionnaire or any kind of survey even more easier and even more helper. Lastly, about the assignment. So explain the primary source of data, all the three sources, all the three methods of data, that is a direct interview, telephone interview, and the mailed questionnaire. And lastly, what do you mean by pilot survey? Thank you, students.